Malcolm. And again, I'd like to extend, as all the members have done tonight, condolences to the families of the Commander Dara Fitzpatrick, her co-pilot Captain Mark Duffy, the winch operator Paul Ormsby and the winchman Kieran Smith. And extending those condolences, I think we have to match it with holding the system to account. And so when we look at this report, and I've just 3 minutes in relation to this, so it is difficult, and I would hope, Minister, that this is the start of a process where we ensure that every single one of the 42 recommendations are implemented, and I'm not convinced of that tonight. And this report started immediately within hours of the accident on the night of the 14th of March, and it continued right up to when the report was published on the 5th of November, and that in itself begs questions as to what happened. During that time, they had a preliminary report, 4 interim statements and a draft report, and I want to pay tribute to the authors of this report. It's a very well-written report, it's clearly set out, it's set factually, analysis is given, conclusions, findings and recommendations. It's a model in terms of how it's set out. The Commission of Inquiry might have a look at it in relation to the mother and baby homes. In relation to this, the actual reports, when the draft report became available to your department, I understand that one of the parties involved exercised their right to have a review of that draft report. You might confirm that that was none of the state entities. And when that entity exercised that privilege and that right, the review board was set up. And 6 months later, that review board of 2 people had to be set aside because of a conflict of interest that suddenly became known 6 months after the event, and that person had a conflict of interest and was associated with the company. You might explain how that happened, what oversight was in place or not in place to let that happen. And then secondly, the review board was set up again with a senior counsel, and that then became available this year. And the family had to go through all of that and a 44-day hearing in relation to that review board. That in itself needs looking at. So now we have the final report. We have 42 recommendations. We have the findings and the conclusions. And we have the 12 contributory causes. And I think it's important to say the cause, probable cause, is the previous paragraph to the 12 contributory causes. The helicopter was manoeuvring at 200 feet, 9 nautical miles from the intended landing point at night in poor weather, while the crew was unaware that a 282-foot obstacle was on the flight path to the initial route waypoint of one of the operator's pre-programmed FMS routes. Okay. In relation to that, what jumps out at me is the psychologist that's quoted on page 190 of the report. Writing of the care that must be taken when describing safety systems, the psychologist says, the use of silly and meaningless safety language matters. It creates a distraction and a delusion that safety and risk are being assessed. We may feel good about speaking such words, but they dumb down culture and distract people from taking safety seriously. Now, if we learn anything tonight, I think we should learn from those words and all of the reports that we've been given here tonight, on top of the accident that has already been referred to, that happened 18 years before this accident down in Waterford. What have we learned? How many reports have been produced? And let's look then at the illusion of safety and the illusion of oversight. Contributory causes 12, time won't let me read them out. There was confusion at state level regarding responsibility. There were serious and important weaknesses with aspects of the operator's SMS, including in relation to safety reporting. These are basic matters, safety meetings, safety databases, and so on, such that certain risks could have been mitigated were not. And then we go to the Irish Coast Guard. Neither the Department nor the Irish Coast Guard had aviation expertise available within their own personnel resources and lacked the capacity to remain an intelligent customer. Something as basic as that, lacked the capacity to maintain an intelligent customer in relation to contracted helicopter operations or auditing. The IRCG relied on an external contractor to conduct annual audits, and then when they got the audits, it does not appear to have a appreciated the safety of some of the matters the auditor raised, and appears that the auditor's reports and supporting evidence were not scrutinised by the IRCG. The IRCG did not have a safety management system, and the IRCG management completed their first aviation SMS training in October 18, and then it went on to the IAA. Time precludes me, and the Controller has allowed me some discretion. It's set out. I have read the 350-page report. I've had 4 or 5 minutes to deal with that. It's not a way to deal with a report if we're seriously interested in learning, holding the system to account and learn. And I'll finish by saying I totally agree with Deputy Smith in relation to the privatisation of the service. If we learn anything, that's the most fundamental thing we should be learning here. And an explanation as to how, when the business case was assessed for the next for extending the contract or giving a new contract, that the aircar were excluded, not excluded, but were found that it wouldn't be valuable economically to have them. And also, again, there was a questionable, in my opinion, conflict of interest in relation to the people who were used for that business case. Thank you.
Thank you.